Hello, hello! Welcome back, everyone, for the second part of the Breeze Contest TAS showcase. Yesterday we saw one of the two lobby rooms, and today we are gonna see the second one as well as the hard side. There are 32 maps left, including hard side. And welcome back, TNT and Vegetation. Anything to say about yesterday or what's coming up tomorrow?
Not really.
Let's just
I guess we can
let's just see what
get
happens.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, if you're all ready, we can get the task going whenever. So this is where we left off at the end of Peribank, and the next map is Bar for the Course.
That was a fun one.
I think if you want to take the time to explain, we'll do it during the Celeste Chapter 6 map.
Okay, so...
And so basically this is the end of the map.
Yeah, so what we did in that room a while ago was... Oh wait. Okay. Yeah, this is press forward. This is an auto map. You're supposed to hold up, right, and grab through it. We're not doing that, of course. We're supposed to have a jelly now, and we're also skipping an auto-scroller. So things are not going as intended, of course. Yeah, you're just like not intended to play this normally, so there's a lot of stuff that's just not enforced. And it's almost over now. That lightning is just completely fake. So, yeah.
Okay, now it's Celeste Chapter 6 Badlin. We're gonna start with the start of the rock bottom checkpoint from the vanilla Chapter 6. But we actually don't have a dash right here. And when we hit Badlin, there's gonna be something special, which is that we're gonna play Undertale. And so we're just basically playing Undertale, and every turn we're gonna speak to Madeline, and we're gonna need to speak to her 3 times, then dash into her, and repeat that 3 times to beat the map. And there's nothing else to say really about it, except just enjoy the pattern. And so while this is going, we can maybe explain what happened in Bar for the Course.
Yeah, so, in that one room with the dog, we got cutscene storage, which means for the entire rest of the map, pretty much, we were technically in a cutscene, and we could skip the cutscene whenever we wanted. And at the end of that first, golf level, we, got put into dummy state, and one quirk about dummy state is that it just doesn't care about screen transitions at all. And we had enough speed to go from one room to the other, crossing a gap in between, and get to the very end of the level. And then we skipped the cutscene, got set back to normal state, entered that room, and then we just had to hit the golf ball into the heart. We couldn't move. That's one thing about that. Is that you just can't
that's
move
why there's a retry. So yeah, a pretty neat skip.
Yeah, that one was done by Artie.
As a fun fact, I was requested, I would say maybe, to try and find a somewhat human viable way to do it. The nuance being in the somewhat, because anything that is even slightly post-bufferable is worth.
Yeah, I guess. It's the speed requirement is extremely tight. You need to, like, there's a dash. There's a special bit of setup you do just to make it so that you don't spend another frame moving left without dashing.
Yeah,
and you can
you
downright
need
immediately.
very low
That one friction
subpixel.
frame would be enough to make it work.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
need very low
it's just
subpixel
extremely
on the
perceptible.
initial hyper, which was actually the hardest part to figure out. And so this is basically just ripped off main game TAS. This is exactly the same section. Well, except for the dash into the heart at the end.
Okay, this is Breeze Contest map. It's dashless and grabless, but you have an elytra that you can deploy whenever you want. And we can use that to conserve speed and build up a lot of it here. There's also these blocks that we can turn on and off whenever we want. Elytra is interesting because you can use it to convert horizontal speed into vertical speed and vice versa. And it's also extremely difficult to optimize well, because there's just some very complex trade-offs between speed and height. Yeah, this is another short one.
This is only the first of several Elytra maps.
Yeah.
So now it's Detour. Co-map based on co-holdables. So there's gonna be a special holdable in this level that is Theo in cold mode and Jelly in fire mode. And so the whole map is gonna revolve around puzzles with this specific holdable.
And here we're gonna do a stun to skip some stuff. The Theo can also break those blocks. And there's some routing here. You're supposed to like throw it on top of those ones and it breaks all those, but we just skip that.
I'll just take a moment for a warning for the next level. There is gonna be a bit of a visual warning. Some effects can be a bit straining in the transition between screens. So, heads up. Here we're gonna have a very tight skip where we need Theo to hit the left side of the block, because if it hits the top, then it bounces and loses a lot of time. Now we're coming up to the second part of the level, a bit shorter, where we have cassette blocks.
Yeah.
And a small section of global cassette cycles, but nearly not as bad as Revive was yesterday.
And now instead of being based on the core mode, the holdable is based on the cassette cycle. So it's gonna switch between Theo and Jelly.
Yeah, 2 beats each. There are a couple skips in this section, but otherwise we're gonna dash a lot. Just to wait. And here you can see we got up to the Bino to get Bino interaction storage during the downtime. because that's gonna help us get a bit more speed through this transition, since we are already waiting. And now is multi-instancing.
Yeah. This is a cool one. You play as... Most of it you play as,
Something went wrong. Don't worry. This is just a technical
Okay.
moment.
And sometimes passes are complicated.
Yeah.
Passes are very complicated. And for this one specifically, there's one room that's the pain of my existence, because there's a poem that sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't, and when you try to breakpoint to fast forward through it, sometimes it crashes, so it is sometimes a bit annoying, but it is very fun. So
Yeah.
haven't really given it a lot of thought. Maybe you have some answers. What is your favorite level in this TAS? Like from a TAS perspective.
I don't know. I mean, I was... Maybe... Yeah, I really don't know.
There's so many. I'm just like looking through the list now to see if I can pick one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very biased towards the hard side, because I definitely spent a lot of time in there.
Yeah,
But
I
there are
mean...
a lot of really cool passes.
I think the Lake Society was cool.
I like, Maddening Mirror Multiplex, which is one of the sub-maps that's gonna come up soon.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
fun one to do.
There's just a lot of cool stuff in there.
Clementine Clouds
Yeah,
is one I'm interested in to see as well. Kind of excited
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah,
and the Clock
Clementine
Tower
Clouds
Lost
is
in Time is
the
also a good one.
for
in there.
people watching. Clementine Clouds is the second map that acts as a sort of sub lobby. We had apartment complex in time yesterday. Clementine Cloud has 4 sub maps that you need to complete to open the hard gate and finish. With all very different styles.
Yeah.
A mini map pack in a contest. In a lobby. Do you know if anyone's done a like no major skips path of the course TAS?
I don't believe anyone has.
Okay.
I think that would be
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah.
I hope someone does one at some point.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be cool to see optimal golf trajectories.
Yeah. I mean, we see a bit of that on the heart side. But yeah.
I mean, we're gonna see some bit of actual goals in the hard side, because
Yeah.
spoiler alert, this one isn't skipped. Madeline is actually doing some crazy movements in it, but the fact that we are locked behind the golf ball reaching the goal makes it that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I guess, and like the charging up animation takes a while as well.
Yeah.
What would be my favorite levels in this second part of the TAS? Mirage has some pretty good things to show off.
Right.
I think I like the Mirage TAS because it's a half dashless, half dash full map, so you get to see very varied. Can't find my words. You can see several types of gameplay in the same TAS. There are some pretty cool stunts that allow for an interesting routing. One of them is really awful, but it does save time. Super excited about the Voidbound one.
Wait, airplane arms as well as today. I love
Yeah.
watching Elytra tasking. It's one of my favorite types of TAS to watch, I think.
I guess
Yeah,
there's another thing
Yeah, go ahead.
that I didn't get to mention about the about the Elytra TAS. There's this thing called clamps, which is where you activate Elytra in the opposite direction from where you're moving, and for some reason that snaps you to a 90-degree angle pointing upwards, and so you can use that to get a whole bunch of height really quickly. It's pretty powerful. You saw it a bit at the end of that TAS when we were in the heart room.
Yeah, and combining that with lots of speed means that Elytra can move around very fast in basically any direction.
I also think, I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just going to say the Elytra tech because I'm predicting it might be used in airplane arms, where if you're crouching, if you do a crouch jump and then start Elytra, you'll keep the crouched state, so you can fly through a lot of spinner gaps like that as well.
Well, yeah, probably. I guess I haven't looked closely enough to know if it does that in particular.
Yeah, I haven't
know
watched
it
closely
does-
the Elytra TASes either.
Yeah.
I know
it
basically
does-
nothing about it.
There's infinite retention glides, which it also does. I know it does that there. I guess we could... I mean, there's not going to be much more time to explain it when we get to it, so... I guess the way it works is... if you hold a feather input in the direction you're moving and a move only input in the direction away from where you're going, and you don't grab when you run into a wall, like it cares about your move only direction to figure out whether you grab when hitting a wall, which is something that happens normally in Elytra. And when you have Elytra active, you just don't lose speed from colliding in the way you normally would. And so you can just slide against the wall infinitely. So we'll see
That's
that.
what allows to keep infinite retain speed.
Yeah. We did that a bit in Breeze Contest map 2, but we didn't need the move only in Cut because it's a grabless map.
This is some very complicated tech that I'm absolutely not familiar with, so
Yeah.
when I test the hard side, I just sent the file to people that know what they're doing with Elytra when I got to that point.
Yeah.
There's also like a cool thing you can do with optimal Elytra movement, where if you go one frame holding 90 degrees and then one frame holding the direction you were going, usually upwards, you retain a lot more speed because you only lose speed on the frame you're holding upwards.
Yeah.
But the one frame
it's
makes
I
you
guess
keep
kind
your
of
angle.
like water speeding in that respect.
Yeah. Elytra's so complicated. I don't understand half of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and it looks like we're ready to go back. Sorry for the disruption.
Okay.
So as a reminder, slight visual warning for multi-instancing as shown on screen. Some effects during transition between one screen to another. So yeah, multi-instancing. Oh, go ahead.
Sometimes we have like a brief wind-up animation, and during that time we can get a lot done with the other Madeleines that are active. It's just something. But yeah, this is controlling multiple Madeleines at once task, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. The first two screens were basically entire. What? Huh? That is not supposed to happen.
Oh.
And for that one, I have no idea what happened. Let me open the file. But you can explain what happens in the level in the meantime.
Yeah, okay.
Some things.
So, let's see. Yeah, I guess, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say. There's just by like timing inputs when they matter in one case and don't matter in the other case, like dashing when one Madeleine doesn't have a dash, you can sort of do a lot of stuff that you can sort of like not really care that much about the fact that you're trying to control two players with the same inputs. Of course it does matter, but you're able to make it almost not matter in a lot of cases. There was one room where the room with all the seekers, where normally you're just supposed to activate the switches and kill all the seekers, but you can just not die to the seekers. Yeah.
As a fun fact, the transition to the seeker room has some RNG in the blocks disappearing, so we needed to see the RNG.
Yeah.
Ironic that the map that's themed on, like, glitchy, is the one that broke
Yeah.
the TAS.
Yeah.
It's funny because there's fake error messages there too.
Spot the real error message among the fake ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have maybe an idea of what happened, but that's, I don't think, an easy fix. So I will get a backup ready shortly to start right after the level. It's not a big deal because we were basically at the end of the level. There was just a slight movement error that made it that we didn't reach the coin, and upon getting that coin there is a cutscene, we skip the cutscene, and we're right next to the heart. So if you give me just a bit of time, I will get a backup. Okay. I have prepared a backup file that we're gonna load. The timer will not be exactly accurate. I just eyeballed what the file timer is supposed to be after multi-instancing, but we will have an approximate timer.
Okay.
Right? I put the wrong file in. Oh. Right, so. Oh, I know. All right. Now we're ready for real.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption.
Okay. For this cutscene, we're just in a box with some triggers. I looked into a way to maybe do something with it, but couldn't see anything. So yeah, pretty restrictive dashless movement here. You've got cycles, and a lot of spinners that are
and there's
pretty
gonna
robust.
be moving blocks for dashless
Yeah.
multi-boosts. So we're gonna see a few overclocks.
Right. And also some auto scrollers. But
This is gonna be the first one with a stun to
We-
be able to climb the end of the room. Here,
yeah,
another
we're doing a lot of stuns here.
overclock. Yeah. There are like at least 4 or 5 in this level. It is very stun
Yeah.
intensive.
I
But
think there's
there are
just
at
like a
least
lot of
4 in the
places.
dashes section and 1 in the
Yeah.
dash.
Like there's a lot of places where the intended routes are pretty circuitous and the spinners are pretty robust, and you just have to stun them to be fast.
It's also that the dashless rooms are a bit restricted, you can't really get crouched, so even if
Yeah.
there was room for it, you couldn't really get in between spinners.
Yeah, there's one place coming up in a bit that where we do manage to do a crouch jump through spinners, but it ends up saving no time because of cycles. There's also push blocks, which are like if steerable move blocks didn't move, only steered. Okay, coming up here, this is a rounding error precise crouch jump. That was pretty hard to make work. Yeah. If you could do it without an extra jump, you could actually save time with it.
Another multi-boost with an overclock.
Yep.
And there's gonna be another one here.
Yay. Speed.
A stun to skip straight to the bottom section into another
Yeah.
multi-boost. Here, fun fact,
switching
with a
between-
stun and a multi-boost from the bottom block, you can actually go all the way through without going to the top, but it's not fast enough.
A lot of times we're going like there's 2 versions of each room, a dashless and a dashful one. And a lot of times we're like staying in the same pair of rooms for multiple switches. And that's what I think one of the reasons why there's so much you can skip with stuns.
Yeah. It's not just skipping an obstacle, it's skipping an actual full room.
Pretty much.
And yeah, when I said one of the stuns is actually really awful, yeah,
Right.
it's an extremely lengthy stun, but it does save time because of the room it skips. And next up is, if I'm not mistaken, Joyride.
Right.
So this is Jetpack Joyride. You can dash and you can jump infinitely in midair and just avoid obstacles. So you're supposed to collect coins, but it turns out that the coin collection pot doesn't actually matter to get to the heart. So we just don't. And the map sets your speed at a... That is most certainly a mod update moment.
Oh.
So the map sets your speed each frame. So we're just trying to use the best moves we have so that the movement we actually get from this speed is optimal. So it is gonna be a lot of the time being inside the dash to avoid getting friction, or it is going to be crouch underground so that we get less friction than if we are uncrouched on the ground. I'll work on a second backup. Give me a moment. In the meantime, as it was pointed out, maybe you can explain what overclocks are.
Right. Okay. Overclocks. So there's this mechanic called wall boosting, where if you do a climb jump, you can convert it into a wall jump, and when you do that, it gives you your stamina back, but it just like adds stamina to your current stamina. It doesn't actually care about how much stamina you had before. It just assumes you consumed the stamina with the climb jump. So if you climb jump, refill your stamina, and then wall boost, you can get more stamina than you are normally supposed to have, and that's an overclock. So we can use it to get in an extra climb jump for more speed on a multi-boost.
So yeah, why did I say it was for sure a mod update problem? It's because a bit of time ago, in the first place, like in the first instance of the test, we used to just spam jumps on every frame because every jump in this game gives you plus 40 speed. So despite the speed being set every frame, we were able to get this plus 40 every frame. So it wasn't building up speed, but every frame we were moving faster than we were supposed to in the map. But because of some helper update at some point, it so happened that the jump speed was calculated before the set speed during a frame, and so we weren't getting that additional movement anymore. So first, of course, it meant that Madeline wasn't moving at the same speed, but it also meant that we needed to fully rework the TAS to find the new most optimal way of moving, which, interestingly enough, isn't the same all throughout the level, because the set speed actually increases every little bit of distance you are going through. So at the beginning of the level, it's faster to just dash to get one frame of the dash movement at 40 speed, and then the rest at your regular speed set by the map. without friction. But at some point, it just becomes faster to stay crouched on the ground to lower the friction and keep the speed that is imposed by the map.
Yeah, there was a short segment of similar auto-scrolling behavior, and oh, actually, that would explain that desync too. There was a bit of auto-scroller, the same sort of mechanic in multi-instancing at the very end.
Yep.
Where it set your speed every frame.
Okay, and we should be ready to get back into it. Hopefully,
Okay.
now everything should be fine.
Yeah.
I did have one thing I'm scared of, somewhat, but I believe.
It'll be fine.
I mean, are you thinking of the heart side?
Yeah, specifically the
Yeah.
random sections.
Well, at least it's only at the very end.
Yeah, it's near the end of the third checkpoint.
Yeah.
Harder to back up because there are a lot of triggers to hit in the map though.
Right.
So
Okay.
here is Clementine Clouds.
Yeah. One has a bunch of submaps. Let's see, I don't remember the order. But yeah, for now, I guess clouds, moving blocks, fairly standard, I think.
Yeah. We are moving through the lobby first, left to right, then we're gonna hit a fake heart, and then we need to go back, play each of the submaps placed in the rooms we've gone through, and then we get teleported back.
Okay. Bunch of multi-boosts in this map.
Yeah. One specific interaction here is that those blocks that extend, if you stand on top of them, you don't actually get carried away, so you don't get leaf boost. But if you stay on the side, you don't refresh that because you're not grounded. It turns out that if the bottom pixel of Madeline's hitbox is exactly on the top pixel of those blocks, is both inside the ground. She's inside the ground, so she's both grounded and gets pushed by the block, so you can refresh your dash and get leaf boost. So
This one just has a whole
lot.
bunch of auto scrollers basically. There's not a lot we can do.
Yeah,
Coming up,
there are a lot of double corner boosts because
Right.
those trees are specific jump throughs where if you get within the grab range, then any climb jump you get will be guaranteed to get you the corner boost speed. So if you get a first corner boost from 2 pixels away from the block, then you could get a first one and then a guaranteed second one.
yeah. I don't know if it's the next level or the one after that, but coming up soon, we're gonna have the return of those bubbles from Rainy Highlands, the patient boosters as they're called.
In Maddening Mirror Multiplex, I believe that's the 4th
Yes.
sub-map.
Okay. We're skipping most of these rooms. There's these time rewind refills, but they're extremely slow, so we avoid them whenever possible.
And for instance, here we're just connecting every coin and instantly retrying because it's faster than rewinding.
Yeah. There's one
We are
place
gonna
where we
connect
have no choice, though. Right here. Oh, wait, no, not right here. Sorry.
No, it's the next one.
Yeah,
Because
here.
we need to get above the moving block. Well, above.
It is pretty interesting to optimize, though. Yeah, okay. So, in a few places there's going to be things that we can set up that we normally can't with the bubbles, like some corner boosts. Another quirk is that if you demo inside the bubble, you get the same effect as an Archie, where you get raised up a little, and you can... And that just gives you a bit more height, and we use that to set up some corner boosts. Coming up right here. Yeah, that corner boost there. And also that dash is a bit shorter than usual because we offset backwards. Here it's gonna look like we just there's a long activation animation for that, but we don't wait around to watch it play. It activates instantly. We just dash through it.
And here we're gonna control Madeline and Badeline, just like multi-instancing. And look at Badeline for a second. Yeah, so what happens is that even though we control both with our movement, only Madeline is actually a player, and so only she loads the spinners around her. So if Badeline is far enough, she can just face through them.
Oh, there's some funny movement here. We got a lot of speed from that corner.
Yeah.
Just for some reason, the snap that going
Specifically,
around corners
I think
sometimes
because
a lot of speed.
part of the movement is going back and the other part is going forward, then it gives an incorrect amount of speed for just this frame of turning around, and so you just completely abuse it.
Big multi-boost there.
Next is Past Sense, with a secret ending that we are going to take because it is faster.
Funny thing with these redirects, when you dash into a dream block, you have to be like within the bounds of the dream block, but when you redirect, you can move partially outside of the dream block, so it looks kind of funny.
Which is gonna result in very funny looking sprite.
Yes.
As much as possible, we're gonna try to avoid going into these dream blocks because base dream blocks are already very slow. These one move almost half as slow as usual dream blocks, so we're gonna cut corners literally.
Yeah.
wherever we can.
So yeah, these touch switches we're collecting are for the secret ending.
The regular ones are within the room, but the modded ones, like this one, are for the secret ending. We're gonna have a very precise climb here to the spinners. Just look at
You
this
can see
sprite.
there the sprite looks very funny. Yep, bit of cut corner cutting there. And there.
I wish luck to any RTA runner that would want to find a consistent height setup entering the dream block to make these possible. Here we're gonna have a bit of a speed chain, but we intentionally don't get as much as possible because there is a wall before the teleport, and if we hit it, we lose all of our speed, and we want to keep as much as possible going into the next station. Especially because there's wind, so the more speed we get, the more we can negate the effect of the wind slowing us down.
Yeah, speed chains are pretty important with wind.
And we're gonna have here a bit of a skip by going above and next to the dream block. As I said, we avoid them as much as possible. And here is where the secret ending comes in. You won't be able to see it very clearly, but there's gonna be a speed chain.
Yeah.
And this skips like an entire other area that you normally have to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I put a lot of work into improving this one. Mostly, for the start here, it's going to be mostly standard movement, I think. Just hazards, tiles, the usual. A funny cutscene skip there, I guess. We got a bit of extra height from jumping into that cutscene, and we jumped into a trigger we were supposed to only hit a bit later. Yeah.
And here we get spinners in water, but infinite dashes because of the water makes the TAS able to go just about everywhere. A lot of cutscenes in this map are unskippable because they are moving you into a trigger where you actually need the cutscene itself to move you inside the trigger, otherwise it just soft locks.
Yeah, some nice skips here. We're pretty much locked most of the time behind this touch switch moving.
Yeah, we almost always touch it on frame 1.
Yeah, at one point we didn't, and I managed to save a frame off there. This movement is pretty sad. There's a lot of places where it seems like you could skip, but you just can't.
Okay, so here there's gonna be a retry during the first cutscene, because it's not an actual cutscene, but it does force your movement for a bit, and so retrying to get control earlier actually saves time. So in this map we have a double jump, which is gonna be used for a lot of mirror hypers, for instance. Especially as in these green areas with right arrows, if you hyper in it, you get a lot more speed than you're supposed to.
Nothing we can really do to skip cycles there, unfortunately.
Hitboxes of these spikes are very accurate. And they're very big.
Yeah. And this section, you're going back and forth a lot, and there's the same loop here that repeats 3 times before moving on to the next one. It was hard to figure out, but very fun to TAS. I think the movement looks really cool.
Some pretty interesting decision making in this map. It's all about figuring out which refills to pick up and where to use them.
Yeah. We are gonna get a speed chain here that we're gonna carry as far as possible, but the geometry just doesn't allow us to keep going till the end of the room.
Here we're only getting 2 of these jump refills because we only need 2, and getting the extra one seems loses more time than it saves.
So in this map we have bubbles, in where at the end of the bubble you get a bump similar to the ones you get when hitting a bumper or a Seeker explosion. And there's not really much to say except for these blocks with spikes on the side. The thing is, spikes are only 3 pixels wide, and the dash can cover 4 pixels at a time. And if you hit the block before hitting the spikes, you just get the spikes to disappear and never hit you. So we're gonna abuse that.
Yeah, like there. That's probably the biggest one. And also here.
The base map is already pretty destroyed by that, but the hard side flag just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I believe it takes a specific... It's because of a specific order of operations, because that works. The spikes need to be destroyed before they check your collision.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a pretty short map, but they're just using, because this level has no spinners and just a lot of spikes, there's a lot of places you can just kind of jump around. And you can keep going to a lot of the TNTs.
Yeah.
And there are like 5 TNTs there, and normally if you hit them from the side one by one, it takes a while, but if you hit them from the top, for some reason it does all of them at once.
Yeah. this one, these switch thing boxes that activate tiles, they're on a timer. We don't care about the timer, pretty much. Except, I guess, sometimes we do need to, like, hit it another time. Here, you're not supposed to be able to climb up this wall.
Yeah, that's stamina management.
Yeah.
Is something. This map is gonna be extremely short,
Yep.
so you can
Just
just
very little
go
to
to
it.
each
even
side.
even normally, there's very little to this map,
Yeah,
um,
but
especially in TAS.
with the death warps, it's just inexistent.
Yeah. I believe the heart side flank of this
Oh.
map is longer than the whole original map.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Still only, I think, like, still not one of the shortest, because we've got Awake and I forget what the other one was.
It was like the apartment complex and time garden one, I think.
Oh yeah.
It was just one.
So
Kevin
this
thing.
map is, yeah, this map is pretty self-explanatory in what happens. There's gonna be one pretty interesting staircase climb, because it's gonna be 12 big steps, and so we are not going to have enough stamina to climb it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep speed, climb the first 4 steps, use an upright dash to floor snap and reset stamina to climb the 4 next ones. And then we're gonna land further right to get a reverse super and climb the 4 last ones.
Yeah. And we're getting 3 keys here.
Yep, there are 3 doors to open. Neat little spike fall.
Yeah, and we're gonna overlap getting the first 2 with getting the third one. We don't have to wait at all, because we have to spend so much time moving to and from the third one.
And now we're gonna have a feather area. So it's just gonna be clean little feather movement. Trying to go in between spinners whenever we can. Skip some platforming. I guess playing around. And now a little bit of flag run type movement.
Spinners in
This
this
is
map are...
probably one of the maps done the least intended.
Yes, yes. The spinners are very permeable in this map.
It is completely broken apart. I think there's even one room at one point where I had 3 different ideas that I timed against each other, and none of them were intended.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is some funny movement.
Yeah.
We're in this room way higher up than we're supposed to.
fun little time save here. We're going to the left after the transition to hit the ceiling and save a bit of time while waiting for the dash CD. So we started lower to the spring to hit it earlier. I love the aesthetic of this map, which is a bit sad because we are not really gonna see it in the hard side. So this map is traffic drain block, so just like Wanderer of a Funken World yesterday, leaf boost with drain blocks.
Oh, I remember being really proud of getting that spike jump and like to fit under the spinners there.
Yeah, it looks
That was
insane.
cool.
I don't think there's like a whole lot to say about this one. There's
Yeah, no.
these
A lot of
blocks, there's gonna be
multi-boosts.
tougher fished later on. Yeah.
But
whenever there's
It is still,
Yeah.
it is still mostly resembling the intended gameplay.
Kinda. I mean, of course, there's.
Well,
like
except
this-
for this.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Very direct.
And fun fact, with those blocks, what is it, conveyor blocks? I don't know what to call them. They are moving so fast that sometimes with a good position you can get a triple boost off the front of the block.
Right. It can also be annoying if you're trying to. If you arrive at them from the back, though.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. We've got these tethers that you'll see in a moment. And it's all about just like working around the pull from the tethers as best as you can, like there.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of speed from them, but of course they are kind of restrictive. And they also explode
dashes are the
when you
best
get
way
behind
to
them. They snap.
move against them.
Yeah. And soon
And in a
we're
moment,
gonna see
Theo.
Theo.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really fun. A lot of work was put into this one. You can do some pretty cool movement with this, with the Theo, tethered Theo. Getting just... You get to move wherever you want.
Yeah, one thing that we only saw there in the Sumda's room, but usually with Theo Ultras, the problem is that you can't throw Theo in front of you if you're moving too fast, because he will just end up behind you, and so you can't just bring him with you. But because he's tethered to Madeline, and he comes back when he's too far behind you, you can just somewhat chain Theo Ultras together, which I think is really cool.
This map has these chained falling blocks. It also has spinners that are often off-grid, which means we can jump off of them in places we might look like we shouldn't be able to. You'll see that coming up soon. There's right here, yeah.
Whoa.
And also, pretty often we want to avoid springs, like right there, because we just don't want their trajectory. And you're gonna see a pretty big skip coming up from avoiding a whole bunch of springs right here. You can just go around them. Yeah. This was my first dashless map that I test, and also avoiding some springs there. There's a choice you can make with these falling blocks on whether you like fall with them or get an extra jump from them. It just depends on what's more important. Little water boost there to end the level.
This map also has a lot of skips.
Yeah. These dream crystals. They're not quite as powerful as you might think, because there's just nothing you can do to get through spiked walls with them. If you're entering on the spiked side, that is. Right here, there's some pretty unfortunate backtracking that we're forced to do. There's like a lot of ideas for how to skip that, but I couldn't find something that would work. And coming up here is a pretty huge skip. We're supposed to get a whole bunch of keys here, but we can just go through the key door.
Very nice smuggle.
Yeah. This is a pretty linear map. There's some cool stuff we can do with speed, though.
Yeah. There is at one point somewhere where you can just stand in the void here. Turns out that there are actually wall tiles just underneath the camera
Yeah,
focus.
here we got a nice ultra chain. That was found by energy. I couldn't figure out a way to do it, but yeah, it was nice improvement.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay,
playing on-
here's the other Elytra map that we were talking about.
Yeah,
this
this is
one's
gonna
just gonna
showcase
be
what
one
high
huge
speed
speed
Elytra
gain.
looks like.
With a bunch of stuns to keep the speed. So it's gonna be over pretty quickly. Here's our infinite retention glide. And we're just getting more and more speed that we get to keep with the Elytra. And that's it. There's a lot of moving these blocks out of the way in this map.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's pretty standard, I think.
There's gonna be a funny spike fall here
Oh,
into
yeah.
C-pop.
Spike fall.
This
Getting
saves
just
a
barely-
whole frame over activating the traffic block.
Huh.
And fun fact about the C-pop is that because of the spike fall, you are actually too far away from the wall to C-pop on the first frame. And so we actually get a first grab to move a bit to the right and still be high enough to grab to then perform the C-pop.
Oh yeah, this is a very complex map. We have Theo, cycles, and touch switch routing. And that combination, there's just so much to think about. This is probably not very optimized for that reason.
I drafted this map and it's already been improved so much. Fun fact, we are going through the spinners here on the way back. We are not demoing through them on the way in because there are actually spikes in the way,
Yeah.
inside the spinners.
And we're doing that stun because otherwise we'd have to wait a long time for those platforms to move.
Yeah. We need like at
Acorn
least a
back to
full
us.
cycle and a half for Theo
Yeah.
to get back. Another dashless map, but with wind. And in all kinds of directions, so we're gonna see different types of wind
There's some
movement.
fun-
For instance, here the
Fun
crash
routing
spam.
in this. Yeah. We're going fast enough to collect those 3 before the other on the way forwards, which saves some time.
So yeah, we need to find 5 touch switches within the level to open the way to the heart, right below Madeline here. A lot of death warps
ju-
as well, because dashless
Yeah.
movement is slow.
And there's just no respawn on one side of that screen. Making
I
good use of
did
these
look
bumpers here.
into dashless water here, but
Yeah. With the bumper movement, it would be extremely painful, I think,
Yeah.
to optimize at this point.
it's not like there's a lot to save anyway. And this
This is
is the
another
last
one
map
with-
before hard side.
More drain refills here. It's a very left to right sort of map.
And now it's time for the big one.
Yeah. A lot of time. I managed to save a lot of time in this zone pretty recently. but mostly just at the beginning. So the beginning is probably going to be a lot more optimized, and the end's going to look a lot like it did in the last showcase where we got to see the heart side. Yeah.
So yeah, we start with a big speed chain staircases as usual. That helps us skip the beginning of the first flag. Then we get the corrupted ridge flag that gets completely skipped by a single demo. Here, contrary to the base map, we actually play it as intended.
Yeah. These rooms are just sort of heftier, I think, than a lot of the ones in the main maps. Just like more complicated, more routing to think about.
Next room, we're gonna be on an auto-scroller, so we're gonna trigger the auto-scroller, then get binary interaction storage.
Because we have to wait.
We're gonna use it to get speed through the next transition and skip going up to reach the middle of the room. Here there's gonna be a very tight movement optimization going up here. On this landing, on the half stamina claims, it's super hard to optimize them because of the jump through on the side. You can't accelerate towards the jump through if you're next to it. So it's super hard to get into the precise position you need to get an optimized half stamina climb. Here we got binary interaction storage to keep the speed after an upright room to instantly land on this platform.
Yeah.
The next room is the Breath of Fresh Air flag, which we're gonna completely skip by jumping between the spikes, so we can get near the end instantly.
There's no actual elytra in this flag, unfortunately. If we did, we could do some crazy stuff probably a lot earlier, but...
Yeah.
Oh, this is a nice one. I found a lot of cool stuff with these bubbles. We don't need that top one. We can just use the first red bubble.
Yeah, nice speed conservation. And we had used the end of the dash code to start a chain to completely skip the next dashless flag.
I don't know if I should explain. With those bubbles in the nail, you can sometimes, if you get the positioning just right, you can hit the bubble twice, which moves it twice, which is how we got that diagonal movement.
Yeah, Madeline goes to the first spinner. Unfortunately, Madeline is close to the middle of the second one, but we still can save a few frames. Big speed chain, thanks water boosting. Very nice.
Some more dash conservation here.
Bubble. Again, infinite stamina with moving block. Unfortunately, we are moving very upward, so we don't really need the horizontal speed, but it'll help us get into position to dash up earlier.
think there was some randomness with whether the you got freeze frames there. I don't know if it still applies.
I realized what happens. So basically the thing is that in this map, the batteries actually deplete over time, and so if they have depleted too much, then you need to collect a refill for the battery, and that's why sometimes there are freeze frames, sometimes
so
there
do you
are
know,
not.
like, why that happened? Why that would be affected by previous things in the room?
Just a matter of how long you take between picking up the battery and reaching the refill.
Oh, okay.
Next room's gonna have a really big skip.
Oh
New
yeah.
one.
This is the biggest one I found.
Yeah.
That is 3 pauses to skip the entire map. There was a camera trigger there which moved it really far down, so we barely have to pause at all.
Here, a very tight cycle thanks to the boosting of this zip line.
Yeah.
It's like a couple frames off of being too late.
That sort of jump spamming to build up speed on those.
And here, as I said, we're gonna completely destroy the flag by destroying first this bottom block and then the one blocking the exit.
Having these extendable dashes again.
Here, big speech in it at the end.
Yeah.
Thanks to holding that.
Unfortunately, we have
Here,
to.
big moon boost to skip a lot of platforming.
We have to
You
move
don't
intentionally
have to
slow a bit
compensate.
there to wait for the flop block to retract. And there was a short random section there that we had to see with the...
Yeah, the bubble path is random. One of 2 rooms to have random in the hot side.
Yeah.
I'm very much hoping the second one will go well.
Yeah, I think that's the one that's caused more problems. The seating is just weird somehow. Or the randomness is different from the other randomness.
And here comes the joyride flag. There is gonna be something very subtle in here.
I think
that
it's
will come in
probably gonna
handy
desync
in
again,
10
isn't it?
minutes. No, this is fine.
No? Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, the mods were updated,
Alright.
so all good. And so here we have some very subtle manipulation of the missile slowdown. And that will be useful in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're getting a very specific value of time active, which is like the
sort of the time you spend inside the level, and which will dictate
and it's
spinner
used
cycles.
used for spinners, which will be important, which is important when you have to stun multiple spinners and can't like stop one stun to start the other spinner. You have to use the same stun for both spinners, and so you need them both to be on the same cycle. Yeah, which is gonna happen later.
Yeah, the first part of the room didn't actually skip a cycle by going at the bottom near the spikes, but it just allowed to actually use the dashes, because otherwise we wouldn't have needed to stop to get the blocks to come down. So they just advances the cassette cycles faster. Very nice re-grab you found there.
Yeah. I think this is the end of where I've found improvements.
Yeah,
So
this
from
is
here
the
it's
beginning
gonna
of
look a
the
lot like it did before.
third checkpoint. This is a puzzle flag that we completely break because of smuggling the jelly. Just like in the base map, binary interaction storage to cancel the bandit or landing animation in the next room. Otherwise, very straightforward flag. And in this one, we're gonna first get up to the ceiling for the lava rubber banding effect, so it speeds up just ever so slightly. And then we're gonna skip the rest with a spike climb right here. Here we're gonna do the coins in an unconventional order. We're gonna go up here to pick up this supposedly last one early, so that we are able to use this block sleeve boost to get an additional ultra.
There is some very strange behavior with these the feathers that happened. If you one flag changes Madeline's sprite from like the regular sprite to the sprite with an outline, and for some reason that changes the order of operations in one very specific way that has only has the effect of making you stay in the feather activation 1 frame longer. And so it desynced there. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Alexa figured out what was going on there.
Yeah, so essentially if you die at some point, then the feathers don't take 1 frame longer than they're supposed to. Whereas if you
Yeah.
never die, they do.
And it happened because I removed a retry, and then we added and then Energy found another retry, so they went back to normal.
Tight little skip here to just reach the top of the block. Because we can't jump off its side, otherwise the block would disappear. And we're approaching the next random room, so I'm really praying that nothing goes wrong.
Yeah. Moment of truth.
Oh,
Okay,
there we go.
good.
Everything is fine. So basically the opening is either on the right or at the top at the beginning of the room. And it's random, and I'm not exactly sure what it's based on.
I think it's like consistent unless
It's
you have a
consistent.
save state somewhere.
Yeah,
Like putting a save state changes how it's seated somehow. It's very strange.
now we're gonna have a long flat section. I didn't manage to get a proper switch in there because it's very flat.
Yeah.
Just a couple dip like ultras here and there. But it changes when
Unfortunate.
we get a double jump because
Yeah.
Ultra's on flat ground. And here, very tight wind cycle skip with this underhang. But because of it, we have flag going, wind going away from the wall, which makes it for a very awkward climb. Because we just can't get optimal jump timing all the way.
And we're with these dash activated blocks here.
And this is the transition room to the fourth and final checkpoint already of the hard side.
Weather's getting kind of bad.
It's almost like there's a roaring tempest out there.
Yeah.
So here we need to go at the bottom of the room, find out that the door is actually a fake, and you need to climb back up. This room is probably unoptimized. I'm gonna be real. This last part, I didn't have the motivation to actually try super hard.
There's another one of the
When
rooms
I
that's
drafted
decent
it.
because of the weird feather change. Mostly it's an auto scroller because we have to wait for this feather to move along.
Yeah. Only at this point do we need to collect it as early as possible to then reach the end. And we are instantly retrying here because for some reason the trigger to spawn the key when you've solved the puzzle doesn't work when you first enter the room. So you need to either retry or exit the room and come back in. Casually it works because you're supposed to exit to the top right to get the clue to solve the puzzle. Some more dash codes.
Yep.
And here's the awake flag. There
This
is
is the
not
gameplay
a
we never
single
got to see.
frame left to get that Kevin down on the first hit. There's no room to spare.
Oh. Yeah. Wish I had gotten a chance to improve those bubbles, but oh well.
And now we're coming up on the big skip
Yes. Yes. Now we have Elytra for
of the
real.
level.
Now
Now we have Elytra and we have big speed. And this is where the drift manipulation comes in, right here.
Yes.
This stuff.
It's on a pair of spinners there. And I believe we're just completely out of bounds in this level.
So
most of the time.
basically, on flag 7 we got Elytra, and there's a trigger at the end of the flag that removes Elytra, but because we're getting such a huge amount of speed, we can just fly over it and keep Elytra
Yeah.
for the rest of the map.
Unfortunately, there's a few spots like this one where we just have to stop and play the game normally.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm fine with there only being a couple flags affected because
Yeah.
that means I actually was able to TAS a lot of it. Because I absolutely
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to TAS Elytra.
Right.
So yeah, Lunland is
Yeah.
completely skipped. And here we
Again.
are completely locked behind the ball reaching its goal.
Yeah. And so we can move around with Elytra, but it just doesn't do a whole lot for us.
And for the final flag, this is gonna be the Nothing Man with first a part in double gravity, then low gravity, and then regular gravity.
An extremely
We're gonna
long
get
infinite
a
retention slide.
whole lot of speed.
And that's
here's
it.
the end.
Okay. I guess we're not going to be able to see a good journal because of the desyncs, but
Yeah.
yeah.
How was the Breeze Contest TAS?
Yep.
This end screen is
I
so
hope you
cool.
enjoyed. This was a pretty big project because 75 maps is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
But it
It's
was
pretty
really
impressive
fun to pass.
how much work you put into that.
I'm really proud of how it turned out.
Yeah.
So yeah, because of the desyncs and all, we won't have a great journal to show on stream. I will take screenshots of the journal and post them in the Discord in the event discussion channel for people interested. Other than that, I think it's time to wrap up.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah, thanks to all the testers that made this possible, and thanks for 2Kill and Jaden for restreaming both days.
Yeah. Shoutouts to all of the other testers that worked on this contest. There were a lot of people.
Especially early on, there were a lot of different people working on it.
And even after the task was first finished, improvements were still coming in.
I think Socks did a whole lot of work on it at times.
Yeah. Socks, Alexa provided help as well.
Yes.
Energy worked, especially on the Elytra parts. And a lot of others I can't remember off the top of my head.
Is there a contributors list somewhere?
Probably.
There is in the task files on the repo.
Yeah. The GitHub one seems to be very outdated. I think there's 7 people on it.
I mean, I think I saw like I don't think it is. Let me.
It's because it's the one in the actual main folder. You need to go into the levels subfolder to see everyone who contributed.
Oh, I see.
To level files. So, I guess I'll post the link here. On this page, you can see everyone who contributed in some form or another to testing this contest. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I will let Creep wrap it up for you.
All right.
All right.
Hello. Sorry for all the technical issues. Unfortunately, that does happen with a collab project at this. Thanks for giving the opportunity to showcase it, as this was very cool. Yeah, once again, thank you to all the casters who contributed to this, and thanks to Darren, TNT, Vegetation for providing commentary across these 2 days, and of course to 2Kill as well for appreciating all of yesterday. No announcements as of right now, but do keep an eye out. We have more stuff planned over the next couple months, so keep an eye out on the announcements channel, and of course make sure to join our Discord server. And keep an eye out for future event announcements, including more task showcases like this, some other vanilla events, as well as, of course, bingo. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the stream. We'll be sending a raid over to... if I can get... that is...
Right. Well,
Alright. Restarting. Go and send, as you know, some Celestes in chat.
Bye.
Bye everyone.